let's explore how you burst onto the music scene, because so you started from singing in church, singing in one branch
to another.
And what was your first recording?
So when I did my first performance at 13, by 14 I was doing professional singing.
Wow. As in full time?
Not full time, but I call it professional because that's when I started being paid for it and stuff like that. But yes, when I was at Dr. Wyatt, there was also an elder of the church at Dr. Wyatt who had a prayer camp called the Macedonia Prayer Center. And it was very close to my house. So we'd go there. And I had it, when the singing is in you, whenever you see a microphone, you jump to it. So I jumped onto the microphone whilst I was there. And one of the elders, now known Francis J, was there. And he was about to release his first album, Mature Botambi.
Right.
And then he picked me to be his backing vocalist.
The original
Yes.
You sang in that one?
I did.
Wow. You know how interesting it is when you come onto the scene and people think,
where have you been?
But we sang it so much that it became like a routine worship song.
The voice is gone today, but yeah. Day by day, come with me. I did that song.
By the power of God.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I did that with Pentecostal Praises. I actually sang that part with Pentecostal Praises, by which time I had actually done about 2 albums with Francis already.
Amazing.
Yes. I sang 10 straight years with Francis, just being a BV with him. So anybody who was around the time Francis was would know that I was a little girl, but I was with Francis. So yeah, we did that, and then at that time I was training to be a nurse as well. So I finished nursing, I got married. And whilst I was in nursing school, at the early stages of nursing school, I was still singing with Francis. So much so sometimes I'll leave school and go sing.
Was it in Ghana or UK?
In Ghana.
Right.
I was in Konfanoche, and my executive producer now was a church member of the Kumasi PRWC, and he actually got to know me from Francis J's album. If there's ever a place I mastered my craft, it would be Accra PRWC and Kumasi PRWC.
Right. Tell us about the mastery.
I don't even know. I said mastered, and I'm thinking, but
it's a good word.
Okay.
I'm curious about behind the scenes, and I'll explore a bit more of it as we go along. But give us an idea about mastery. What does it require? What do you do behind the scenes? Because you sing a song for just 5 minutes. I mean, really.
A lot goes into it behind the scenes.
I'm curious about what goes on behind the scenes.
Okay, so as a child, I mentioned my dad. My dad was very keen in my ministry. Anybody who knows my dad knows that when I'm singing and he's behind me, you can't sit. Because he's charged. He's on his feet. He'll be on your feet. So he was very interested in what I did. So much I'll discuss what I was writing with him. He was a singer as well. He was a worship leader when the pastors met.
Wow.
And so he had music background, had a beautiful voice. And there was a woman in the Church of Pentecost called Eunice Addison. She received most of Church of Pentecost's songs by inspiration during prayer time. And so my dad took me to her and asked her to pray for me.
Oh.
And when I went there, it was in church, after church, and I knelt beside her, and she was a fanti. So she asked, you want to sing? The songs are in heaven. Oban Pinchen, it's a lot in heaven. Oban in verses and in stanzas. They come in verses and in stanzas. Then she hit me on the back and she said, get up and go sing.
I can just almost imagine it. I'm a fancy man, so I can relate to these words very much.
A very educated, posh woman talking. Yes.
She just hit you on the back and said,
Open in verses and in stanzas.
Wow.
Kanakatonjum.
And she hit you on the back.
On the back.
And that was the prayer.
Yeah.
What did it do for you?
At that time, nothing. At that time, I didn't know what it was. Just now that I've grown, that it hit me. But then, what I remember significantly then was when I got up, my dad said, Diney, did you hear what she said? She said, the songs come in verses and in stanzas. So I never want to hear you sing a 2-worded song.
Wow.
And so every time I try to write a simple song, it never happens for me, because by the time I'm done, I have a verse, I have a stanza, I have a bridge, I have a chorus. So now I realize that, yes, it takes me a while to write. I don't receive my inspiration. I don't receive it with words and chords and everything. But God gives me a message, and then I put flesh on it, and he helps me by his word. But going back to what happened behind the scenes. So when I heard this, and I was with Francis, I had the chance to sit under the ministry of singers like Daughters of Glorious Jesus, Susie and Matt. I watched them do certain things. Dr. Mary Ganza, and I had their CDs. I learned their songs. At that time, that's all I knew. And then as I progressed, I got interested in American gospel. And so I would listen to C.C. Winans. I would listen to Alvin Slaughter. I never learned music, but I tried to learn what they're doing, look at their lifestyle, try to live my life, be myself, but also live to please God. Then back to the church, mastering my craft. The Church of Pentecost will never give you heads up, will never tell you you're singing today. They see you in church and they call you. So like a soldier, you should be ready at all times. So whenever I'm going to church, I have prayed. I have a song or two in mind that when I'm hit with it, I know when to pick it up and what to sing. Wow. But I'm also praying that, Father, give me a song that goes with the word that is coming today. I don't want to be going north where your word is going south. Then we're not in tune. And I'll never ask my dad what he's preaching about. But the song I'll sing will always be close, similar to the word that is coming. I don't think I spoke to Mama Eunice Addison more than 2 occasions.
That's what I was going to come to. I mean, from what you described, the official day when you were sent to be commissioned, it was just a few words.
It was a few words and I was kicked out.
But looking back,
there was an impact, and it has influenced my life, my ministry, and we're here.
Let me borrow a scripture just to bring this point that you are making home, because I'm just thinking, if you had not paid attention in that 1 minute, you would have missed probably the most defining part of your ministry, because your lyrics are very, very meaningful and weighty, and that's one of the hallmarks of your ministry. So let me just imagine that, in Genesis, Jacob woke up and said, hey, God was here and I didn't know. So if that's what you may want to call the defining moment or the kairos moment when you were in her presence, you had been looking at your phone or losing attention or not paying attention, those words that you can repeat without looking on any book, you may have missed out on them and probably missed out on what was a major springboard for your ministry. How does it make you feel, that importance of a few moments?
I think that's one of the reasons why I would say I'm very careful about the present, because the present will determine what the future is. And so I pay attention to everything I'm doing now, making sure I'm mastering this craft. I'm giving my all, because then now in time, I think I've lived to realize that every stage of my life has actually opened the door for the next stage. And if I had missed just one spot of the things that happened to me, I wouldn't be here sitting with you.
That sounds scary.
It is. And I'll tell you, I can give you...
Help us understand at least 1 or 2, because this is so weighty that you can't let it pass. Every stage
of my life has landed me where I am. And if we had taken out one, I wouldn't have been here.
Almost like a puzzle.
Yes.
Help us to understand.
So I'll fast forward to, I was in Morning Star. I was smart in Morning Star. And I was on my way to go to Wesley Girls. And at that year, I did great. I had 9 ones. Just that particular year, I was told Wesley Girls is taking 10 ones for science. Well, my dad was on missions. He was in Sierra Leone. And so my dad wasn't here. If my dad had been in Ghana, I would have gone to Wesley Girls and I would have done science. Or they would have said, don't do science, do arts. If I'd gone to Wesley Girls and done arts, I wouldn't have gone to nursing school because they wouldn't have taken me on arts. If my dad had been here, maybe I wouldn't have done nursing. If I hadn't done nursing, I wouldn't have met my husband. If I hadn't met my husband, I wouldn't have known anybody that can handle ministry with me like my husband is handling ministry with me. if I hadn't done nursing, I wouldn't have lived in the UK working as a nurse with my husband and the kids, which is the central part of the world, which gives me maximum 7 hours to almost every part of the world. I pick up my passport and I have access to everywhere in the world. So if Pentecost had not sent my father to Sierra Leone, my father is pushy, and he would have moved Diana to any secondary school to do any course he wanted. But God was playing my life like a table of chess. And so at Ghana National College, I had the chance to perfect my solo performance. I had a headmaster who gave me the freedom to do ministry, but still learn. I then went to the right schools, because I'm working with my executive producer, and I told you that I met him when I was in nursing school. So if my father had been in Ghana, I wouldn't have gone to Ghana National College. If I hadn't gone to Ghana National College, I wouldn't have gone to nursing school. If I hadn't gone to nursing school, I wouldn't have met my husband, I wouldn't have met my executive producer, and I wouldn't have been here.
It is such a humbling story you tell that part alone, it's something like a rhyme, almost like a rhyme. So oh, lovely.
Honestly.
Almost could be the lyrics of a song.
No, but because I've stayed with my executive producer for over 20 years. And I think people would say, oh, you stayed together for that long. And what's the secret? We were just meant to be doing this.
And that's the power of having the right people around you.
The right people.
I'm going to come back to that when I come back from this break. 10 lessons I've learned from listening to you. And then I'm going to allow you a minute to just minister in any way you want. Because I'm just enjoying this so much. I mean, I just want to do the conventional ending to this. So if you are the one who likes notes like me, the 10 lessons I've learned from Diana Hamilton. 1, mentoring. She says many are in a hurry to walk out of mentoring, but stay in it. And she says the 3 people that she talked about that struck me the most: the role of her father, Francis Ajay, and then Madame Eunice Addison of the Church of Pentecost. So mentoring. Number 2, she mastered a craft by serving, and she mentioned 10 years of singing as a background vocalist for Francis Ajay. That was very notable. And then the 3rd one, she talked about being ready at all times and growing up in a culture where you are not even told you are singing. You come ready. And when you are called upon, you deliver. I like the soldiering part, being ready at all times. Number 4, she talked about the family who are her greatest cheerleaders and also her greatest critics, and keep her feet on the ground. Number 5, my favorite. Every stage in my life has led to where I am now. And if you take out anything, I won't be here today. That was so scary, Diana.
No, but that was true.
So scary. Number 6, respect and appreciate others. Whatever you respect, you attract. Number 7, it's only a matter of time. Timing. Number 8, the purpose of God for your life will ultimately come to pass. Number 9, from your producer, as much as you learn to do something, learn how not to do something. And then the 10th one is the values of integrity, excellence, truthfulness, and loyalty. You mentioned them as the anointing to finish, which you call in Ashanti what?
Yekudruhunhu.
These are my 10 lessons from Diana Hamilton. Also, a book. Have you thought about writing a book?
I have